I thought my blind date stood me up. Then she walked in holding her daughter's hand. The coffee in front of me had gone cold, and so had my hope. Every minute that passed felt like another reminder that maybe I was simply too broken to deserve another chance at love. After waiting nearly an hour, I finally reached for my jacket, convinced my blind date had decided I wasn't worth meeting. But just as I stood up to leave, the cafe door opened, and a woman hurried inside, holding the tiny hand of a little girl with curly hair and a pink backpack. The woman's face carried exhaustion, embarrassment, and quiet courage all at once. In that single moment, everything I believed about being stood up changed forever. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of compassion, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you love, and subscribe to Bright Kindness. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world that hope is never truly lost. 3 years before that afternoon, my life had fallen apart piece by piece. My marriage ended after years of silent distance, leaving me with an empty apartment that echoed louder than any argument ever had. I buried myself in work, pretending promotions and paychecks could replace family dinners and laughter. Friends tried introducing me to people, but every date felt forced. Eventually, I stopped trying altogether. It wasn't until my younger sister secretly signed me up for a blind date that I reluctantly agreed to give life one final chance. She told me that the woman was kind, honest, and had been through hardships herself. I didn't ask for details. I simply hoped that maybe two wounded hearts could understand each other. When the cafe clock passed 45 minutes, disappointment settled heavily in my chest. I wasn't angry at the woman I had never met. I was angry that I had allowed myself to believe things could be different. Just as I was walking toward the exit, I saw her rushing inside, breathing heavily while holding the hand of a little girl who looked no older than 6. The child clung tightly to her mother's fingers, her wide eyes searching the unfamiliar room. The woman looked overwhelmed, as though life had forced her to fight 10 battles before lunchtime. She apologized with tears already gathering in her eyes. Although we spoke only briefly at first, I could see she wasn't making excuses. Earlier that morning, her babysitter had canceled without warning. She had tried calling neighbors, friends, and relatives, but no one could help. She had nearly canceled the date altogether, believing no one would want his first meeting interrupted by a child. Instead, she made the difficult decision to come anyway, hoping honesty would matter more than perfection. The little girl quietly sat beside her mother, coloring on a paper napkin with crayons she carried everywhere. She wasn't noisy or demanding. She simply smiled shyly whenever our eyes met. As I watched them together, something inside me softened. I realized this wasn't an awkward situation. It was real life. It was messy, unpredictable, and painfully human. Over the following weeks, we met again and again. Sometimes our conversations happened in parks while her daughter played nearby. Sometimes we shared takeout dinners because expensive restaurants didn't fit single-parent schedules. Slowly, she trusted me enough to tell me about her past. Her husband had died unexpectedly after a sudden illness, leaving her to raise their daughter alone while struggling financially and emotionally. She had spent years believing happiness belonged to everyone except her. Listening to her story made me realize pain wears many faces. Mine had come through divorce and loneliness. Hers had arrived through unimaginable loss. Yet neither of us allowed bitterness to define us forever. The little girl gradually became comfortable around me. She started saving me a seat during our park picnics and proudly showed me every drawing she made. The first time she slipped her tiny hand into mine while crossing the street, I felt a responsibility greater than anything my career had ever given me. She wasn't asking me to replace anyone. She was simply trusting me not to let go. Months passed, and the walls around my heart disappeared one quiet day at a time. My empty apartment slowly filled with children's books, tiny shoes near the front door, and laughter that echoed through every room. The silence that had haunted me for years finally had competition. One rainy evening, I found the courage to ask the woman to spend the rest of her life with me. Before she answered, her daughter wrapped both of us in the smallest, warmest hug imaginable. That hug felt like the beginning of an entirely new family, built not by perfect timing but by unexpected grace. The truth was simple. I thought I had been abandoned that afternoon. Instead, destiny had simply arrived a little late, carrying the most precious reason imaginable by the hand. If this story has touched your heart so far, please write in the comments. Kindness always arrives on time. We'd love to know where you're watching from and what part of this story meant the most to you. Years later, whenever someone asked how we first met, I smiled every single time. I never said my blind date was late. I always said she arrived exactly when our lives were ready for one another. Love didn't enter my life with grand speeches or perfect plans. It walked through a cafe door holding the hand of a little girl who unknowingly brought hope back into a stranger's heart. If this story moved you, reminded you that second chances are real, or gave you hope for love again, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Bright Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need a little hope today. Sometimes the greatest blessings don't arrive the way we expect. Sometimes they arrive late, carrying small hands, quiet smiles, and the promise that even the loneliest hearts can become home again.